ever get in your mindset that you think your competition, you'll never be successful in this business. And this is why. There are more deals than all of us in this room, times 100, squared, so third power, pi, can handle out there. And to be blunt, I have more deals on my desk that I have enough money for, or I have enough time for. And I've got to rely on other educated investors. I already said her name earlier, Karen Downs. She's an investor. She's also a realtor that I do a lot of business with. And what happened is I was boarding a plane to go do a 30-hour event somewhere, late November in 2007. And I remember this phone call, and it was an older woman that called my cell phone. I don't know how she got my cell phone. And she was telling me all about her problems. And I'm not going to lie, her problems sounded very good. But I wasn't in the right mindset at the right time to be able to help her. I said, ma'am, do me a favor, call me back, leave all that information on my voicemail, and somebody will call you back in 3 hours. And she goes, you promise? I said, yes, ma'am. Now, I knew somebody would call me back in 3 hours because my flight was only an hour and 25 minutes. So it was either going to be me or somebody else, and that's what I told her. And when she called me right back, I sent her my voicemail. I boarded the plane. I sat down. I listened to her problems. Her problems sounded good. Even better the second time. And I decided to forward my voicemail, and I forwarded it to Karen's voicemail. And I said, Karen, take care of this woman and give me 20% of whatever you make. How much did she make? She made 16 grand. She grossed 20. She netted 16 because she had to give me 4. And all she did was assign it to another investor. We're all in this together. Now, understand, I had a relationship with her. I would never do that if it was somebody that I just met. But you don't know what you can't handle everything that comes across your desk eventually. And we've got to rely on other educated investors. So I want to go over this again. We went over it Wednesday, but a lot of you weren't there, about how to choose a good realtor. I'm not done with assignments yet. I want to throw this in there too, because I'm a firm believer of having good realtors. Number one, we want to know how long they've been in real estate. How long do we want them in real estate? 7 to 11 years. Pre-bubble. A lot of realtors became realtors in the bubble to make a quick one. Those days are gone. Number two, they specialize in any type of real estate or any part of town. We talked about that. I like using power team members for where they're at. I don't like to have to retrain power team members. If they're in this zip code at that price point, I'm only using them in what? That zip code and that price point. That's what their niche is. I'll go find somebody over here. Number three, I want to know they depend on real estate for what? A living. I said it Wednesday, I'll say it again. I don't want a full-time school teacher and a part-time what? Realtor. Number four, I want to know if they have any banking or funding connections. Not only do I dovetail my strategies, I also dovetail my power team members. Growing that power team. Number five, I want to know they invest in real estate. I said it Wednesday, everybody on your power team must be a what? If they don't invest in real estate, how in the world are they going to help you? Number six, it's a test. The answer better be what? It better be yes. Doesn't matter if it's an up market, a down market, an inside-out market. And then number seven, can they provide me with what? References. I said it, unscrupulous realtors have a tendency to lie. And when they find out you're an investor, they have that automatic anatomical response with their eyes rolling to the back of their head, and all they see is what? Dollar signs. If they can't give you 5 investor references, at the end of the day, they don't deal with what? Investors. However, at the same time, I also said it was a test. Meaning they give me 5 names and numbers right then and there, I'll never use them. Because the answer I want to hear is, give me your name and number, I'll have them call you, or let me contact them and see if they're comfortable giving their name and number what? Out. That way, I understand that they're professional and they have professional what? Courtesy. Because if they just give me 5 names and numbers right then and there, what's going through my mind is, what, are you going to give my name and number out like that? And I'll never use it. When it comes to realtors, they do have MLS access. As a rule, is retail, but we talked about already ways to manipulate it, to look at it wholesale. All addendums, expired listings, things such as that. And they have CMAs, comparative marketable analysis, or comps. And I'm very strict on my CMAs. So I want to go over this again. I want recent sales. How recent do I want the sales? 90 days. I want them close proximity. How close proximity do I want them?
Half 15 miles.
Half a mile. I want them in close square footage. How close is square footage? At 100 square feet, but with a 200 square foot swing. Meaning 100 up and 100 what? Below. Now, if we can't find good comps in those parameters, we'll go out in 90-day increments first. Up to what? 1 year. If I still, after that, can't find them, I'll go up to 1 mile. But I never budge on square footage. The reason being that square footage, 100 square feet is a 10 by 10 room, yeah? It's an extra bedroom. When you get into rehabbing, or your end user, their deal is what? Rehabbing. That extra 100 square feet could mean $10,000, $15,000. So we're not budgeting. I, of course, want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, right? I want them equal. So 90 days up to a year, half a mile up to what? A mile. If for some bizarre reason we can't figure out and get good comps to that formula, then we'll go to how we do it in commercial, which is price per square footage. But that is your last resort. Now, let's talk about running your numbers in today's times. How to figure out a maximum allowable offer. Is there any such thing as 100% financing in today's times? Yes or no?
Depends.
They're paying cash, they're doing their own things. So yes, they're both 100%.
Getting a loan, is there anything such as 100% financing? Through traditional means, yes or no?
No.
The answer is yes. And this is why, once again, it all comes off that formula that I gave you this morning. Okay? When it comes off that formula that I gave you this morning, 20 to 30% below median, up to median, 50% or less of days on the market. What typical type of buyers buy in those type of neighborhoods? First-time homeowners and VA. When it comes to FHA, first-time, VA, and some USDA mortgages, here's how it works. They'll give up to 96.5% loan to value.
Would you just mind, I know it's basic, but would you mind just a few seconds on FHA, VA, especially USDA? Because some people may not.
I'm playing on behalf of
Okay,
the country,
okay.
but I'll do it now. You're welcome. So, FHA, first-time home. FHA is conventional financing. So basically, they have to meet requirements when I said and, I had you write those 11 to 12 things down. They have to meet those requirements. VA financing is your Veterans Affairs financing. So anybody that was honorably discharged, right? And there's some other, dependents sometimes, or not dependents, but spouses.
Or active duty.
Of course, active duty. They have these benefits. USDA is in rural areas. When we're talking residential, it can be, when we're talking commercial in not so rural areas. That's a government-backed also underwriting loan. What's USDA stand for? United States
Agriculture.
Department of Agriculture. Thank you. The terms is 96.5% on the value, meaning if the property was a $100,000 property, they would be given $96,000 what? $500. That's what they would be lent. I said it Wednesday that when it comes to today's times, I don't care if we're in Anchorage, Alaska, I don't care if we're in Washington, D.C., I don't care if we're in Jacksonville, Florida, I don't care if we're in Vegas, L.A. If you have the best looking property on the market cheaper than anybody else, is it going to sell, yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. So now we're going to combine a couple things with that theory. Let's say we were going to sell the property for $300,000, right? That would be your fair market value after repair value of $300,000. I'm going to run my numbers off of $285,000. So where it says your ARV, instead of $300,000, I want $285,000. Why? I want the best looking property on the market, cheaper than anybody else, and we make our money when we want. But, so I got to run my numbers off of that 285,000 point. Right? You with me so far? Here's the other reason. When it comes to those three types of loans, if there's room in the appraisal, they can roll, meaning the buyer can roll 3.5% of closing cost, 3.5% of down payment into the appraisal, into the loan, if there's room within the appraisal. Does that make sense? So if I'm at $285,000, is there going to be room to roll that 3.5% in? Yes or no? Yeah. I know it'll appraise for what? 300, I'm at 285, there's a spread there, yes? So therefore, I can morally and I can ethically market no money what? Down. The other beautiful part of these three types of loan programs is if there's room, you can roll up to 3% of their closing cost into the loan as well. There's still going to be some room to be able to roll their closing costs, not all of it, but some of it into the loan, yes or no? A little bit. Now, are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market? Buyer's market. So as a buyer in a buyer's market, we shouldn't have to be paying closing costs, period. But as a seller in a buyer's market, we're going to have to come off some what? Some closing costs. So my rule is 3%. I'll pay up to, on average, 3%. Well, if I'm paying on up an average of 3%, that means they should probably be able to roll the remainder into the what? Into the loan. So therefore, I can morally and ethically market no money down, zero what? Closing cost. If you have the best looking property on the market, cheaper than anybody else, and you understand virtual marketing, and you have 0% closing cost, no money down, right? Why in the world do you need a realtor to sell a property? So now we're saving what? 6% of commissions. Now, my disclaimer is this: when you go over me, I'm sure some of you have already, or you go to YouTube and you see what we're doing for rehabs, because I record everything we do on YouTube, you'll see that I use realtors. Well, the reason being, when you're turning 20, 25 properties a month, I have now the what? Yield spread, the profit margin, to be able to absorb that 6% cost. In the beginning, I necessarily didn't have that spread. Make sense? Yeah.
I agree with you, and I also want to dovetail on that. As a realtor, investor, agent, you're so focused on getting it marketed and putting your time into it. It's not the highest and best use of your time to be out looking for other deals while you allow the realtor to do what they want. And 9 times out of 10, you don't know what you're doing, and you end up doing it correctly, and then you lose what you would have paid the realtor anyway because of how the transaction goes. So it's always best to leverage other team members.
Yep.
So that you can get what you want instead of trying to save that measly 3% that realtor's gonna make.
I agree.
If I had copies of realtors.
There's the word to find.
You go with those. Here's the best way to find a realtor. You ready? Ready? You wrote those questions down. Number 1, correct? Yep. Number 2, you take that formula I gave you, you drive to those neighborhoods, and then you write down the names and numbers of realtors that are already in those neighborhoods. The signs of them.
Or you join a local real estate investment.
Or you join a local real estate investment club and use the people there. Yeah, they do exist, believe me. You'll go through a couple. You will, in your time frame. But listen, here's 3 oxymorons in your power teams. You ready? A good lawyer, a good realtor, and a good contractor. They're oxymorons. But when you find them, you will do everything to what?
Keep them.
To keep them. So, we take our after value, right? We got through why I'm saying 6.5% below, and that's why we market that, right? Everybody understand that? 3%, 3.5% down. We subtract our repair cost. Then we subtract our purchase cost, which is basically 1%. Our holding cost, which is going to be our mortgage payments, right? Maybe some property tax. That's 3%. Where it says sales cost, I want you to change that verbiage to closing cost. Where it says subtract minimum acceptable profit, 20%, that would be like your builder's risk policy. Inspection, stuff like that. Okay. Then where it says subtract the minimum acceptable profit, 20%, I'm not going to say 20% in today's times. And traveling all over this country, I'm seeing more of a sliding scale. So here's the sliding scale that I'm looking at. If a property will sell from 0 to 100,000, 20 grand profit. From 100 to 200,000, 30 grand profit. From 200 to 300,000, 40 grand profit. Then from 300 to 400,000, 50 grand profit. That's more the realistic scale that I'm seeing in today's times. It's like a sliding scale. That profit means your net profit. Then where it says fudge factor or oops factor, I will not, industry standards 2.5%, so 3% max.
10%, 3%. Would you go as high as 10?
Yes and no. I say at this point, no, because with that 3%, and when we talk about contractors after lunch, I make them put the other percentage in their contracts, in their estimates. So, yes.
Well, but
Yeah,
you
I know.
also break
Yeah,
down
yes.
so much
Yes.
that,
So, yes and no. So,
which
and
most people don't do that.
Exactly. Ultimately, it'll be up. So we got that written down? So everybody understand that sliding scale? 0, 100, 100, 200, right? That's realistic in today's times. Net, net, net. So, I want everybody to write this postcard down because this is what you're going to start your 8-week marketing campaign with. And the reason I say 8 weeks is this. How many postcards can we print out on one cardstock piece of paper? 4. So I'm all about duplicatable systems, right? 4 of them, one cardstock piece of paper. Every other week, we're going to send this postcard out. Where it says dear property owner, we should know their name by now. Do we agree? So their name would go there. My name's Mark Risco. I'm a local real estate investor. My company buys properties in your area, any condition. After the word condition, I typically handwrite the word or make copies of the handwritten word cash. People like the word cash, as if you're walking in with duffel bags full of cash. I noticed your property located at 123 Main Street. If you're interested in selling, please call me at, for most of you, it's probably going to be your cell phone number to begin. Then where it says sincerely, to me, that's boring. Everybody uses the word sincerely, or respectfully, or yours truly. I like to put things such as hugs and kisses. My favorite one that I'm using right now, and I am not joking, I don't care if it's going to a guy, I don't care if it's going to a girl. I put love, the local sexy bald investor. Why am I doing things like that?
Because you're totally outside the box.
Does it capture them, yes or no?
Yep.
And boring I am not. And it captures them. What's on the front of the postcard? I don't want to freak them out.
So Mark, if that statement is working so well, would you recommend that every male shave their head to
Sure, why
get
not?
good results?
Just join the club.
Almost 3 sides.
What's that?
Almost 3 sides.
On the front of the card?
3 signs.
3 sides.
Street signs.
3 sides. There's a side.
Oh, what do I put on those? Is that what you're asking me? What I put on the street signs?
I'm asking, how about using street?
Oh, I've already covered that, so that's why I'm confused. What do I put on them? Yeah. Yeah, no, I just put I buy houses and then a phone number. I don't do anything fancy on street signs. On the front of the postcard, what goes on the front of the postcard? A picture of their problem. So a picture of the property. That way, every other week, we're reminding them of their problem. Now, what I do for an address is, you know the white mailing sticky labels? I put it right over the picture, write the address, underneath the address, write forwarded service requested. And the reason we're writing that way, if you don't get it back, we know somebody is what? Receiving it. So I do this for 8 weeks. If I don't get a response at the end of the 8 weeks, I stop for 4 weeks. I stopped for 4 weeks. Why? Now we just rolled into another what? Another quarter. Business is done in what? In quarters. Duplicatable system. I'll go take a picture of the property. It typically even looks what? Worse. Then we start it all up again. We do it until A, they either call us to tell us to stop, or B, they call us to tell us they're ready to what? Sell. Either way, what are they doing? They're calling us, yeah? We have them on the phone. My phone conversations are very blunt. And when they call me, I tell them right up front. So if Tammy's calling me and she's saying, hey, Mark, I got this postcard from you in the mail, and I'll say, great, what's your name, what's your number? I want to capture their number in case they get mad and they what? Hang up on me. And then Tammy will say, give me your name and number, and I say, listen, Tammy, I just want to let you know I am a full-time investor. What I do is I buy property at huge discounts. Just say, just like that, at huge discounts. I turn around and fix that property up and sell it, or I rent it out. So huge discounts, fix it up, sell it, fix it up and rent it out. This is how I feed my family. This is how I make a living. Are you okay with that? There's no smoke and mirrors with me. I want them right off the bat to know what my intentions of this whole phone call is going to be. That way, there's no excuse for them to get all what? Upset. Yeah. It's right then and there. If they say no, they're not okay with that, it's the end of the conversation. That's fine.
You're a vulture.
I am a vulture. You know what? No, seriously. I've been called vulture time and time again. I've been on big stages and had people heckle. I'm a vulture. You're right, I am.
Vultures.
A vulture has never done a kill. A vulture comes and cleans up the mess behind the kill. Make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm fine. I'm a vulture. Now, once I said that, I'll ask them what the address they're calling about is. And no matter what the address is, whether I can remember it or not, as soon as they tell me the address, this is my response. Oh, that one. When I'm saying, oh, that one, what's that doing?
Setting the tone.
Just send a tone right then and there. How can I help you? Oh, that one. They'll typically say, what do you mean? And I'll just say, look at the postcard. How can I what? Help you? And then we negotiate. Some rules when we negotiate. Number one, never ask them how much they owe. Eventually, they're going to tell you how much they owe as you're going back and forth, But don't ask them. And this is why. If you ask them how much they owe, you are subliminally putting a number in their head that they think they cannot go what? Below. John might owe 100 grand. But he might be asking 120. Even after I find out he owes 100 grand, because I'm saying I'll give you 50, 50, 50, we're going back and forth, he gets mad, says, listen, brother, I owe 100, at least need to get 100 to get out of it. All right, I'll give you 80 grand. Even though I know that they owe a certain amount, I'll still go under to see what happens.